The only currently available common law. October 25, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. People in the patriot community like to go around bleating about common law this and common law that. What they mean is our American public law, which is our common law, but which is not widely available. The federal courts have no obligation to interpret the common law for actual states of the Union, so in 1938, they announced that they don't have a general common law, that is, public law. All the federales have is military common law, and nobody in their right mind would wish to be judged under military common law. However, when you ask for common law in their courts, that's what you get. They don't do the kind of common law people are thinking of. They no longer carry the Bible into the courtroom with them. And since they have taken over what poses for most state courts and operate these as state-of-state courts instead, the same problem applies to what appear to be state-level court actions. You still are not accessing American common law, and for the same reasons. To this requires that Americans, 1. declare their political status, 2. establish their standing, 3. populate their lawful jurisdiction on the land and soil of this country, 4. assemble their State of the Union, 5. form their own courts to serve their own people, county and state. We are a separate population and have our own form of law that is a higher form of law than what the federal and state-of-state courts practice, but until you come home and operate your own government, that is, self-govern, you are presumed to be a federal employee or dependent and to be subject to their foreign forms of law. Once you realize that what you are looking at and thinking of as your courts aren't your courts, you can begin the process of restoring order to this country, starting with correcting the presumptions about your own political status. Are you a federal employee or dependent? This does not apply to federal retirees, except in the matter of income tax. If you aren't a federal employee, you need to stand up and say so. You need to record your political status declaration and seize control of your own name and estate. Otherwise, you are going to be held responsible for the Queen's debts and the Pope's debts, and your own assets will be at risk, and they will continue to have an excuse for hauling you in and prosecuting you under foreign law in foreign courts. And once you have your own political status declared as an American state national and not as a British territorial United States citizen and not as a municipal citizen of the United States, you have another decision to make. Are you going to join your state assembly and build the court system you are owed? So that you can access the form of law you are owed? American common law? The reason that NLA and so many of these other groups are wrong-headed is that they want to build just part of a state court or state assembly. I have likened the NLA effort to form grand juries without having courts to support those grand juries, to building a car door and trying to operate as if you had a car. The same thing applies to those groups organizing jural assemblies without a state assembly. A jural assembly is part of a state assembly, again, building the transmission without a fuel system. To restore and enjoy the benefit of the American common law, you have to stand under the American common law as a conscious decision that is determined by your declaration of political status as an American state national. And next, you have the obligation of self-governance, the obligation to provide yourselves with your own courts. That means joining and supporting your state assembly, serving as a juror, and doing the work to open your own state court. Bear in mind, yours is a state court, not a state-of-state court. Your judges are justices. Our people are being fleeced and pillaged in foreign courts and subjected under foreign law, because they have been deliberately misidentified as British territorial and/or municipal government employees. It's time to wake up and correct that situation by restoring your own state assemblies and your own American common law courts. Once our own courts are up and rolling in each state and our people have repopulated our states of the Union, it is already agreed that the foreign quasi-military courts that you see operating in your courthouses today have to stand down and withdraw themselves back to the limits of their own natural foreign domain. Military common law will no longer be mistaken or misrepresented as the American common law.